Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and as you can see, I'm swimming in the air. But in this video, I'm going to be going over even more underground locations in 7 Days to Die. I have made a couple of videos like this. I will link them somewhere in the video or in the description. I haven't yet decided, but there are even more locations to check out. Most of the POIs mentioned on this list will be in all map types. However, if you're on random gen, depending on your settings, some might not be there. As for the locations, I'm going to be listing out each place's location on Navezgane. With that out of the way, let's jump straight in. Up first, and I'm sorry if I butcher the pronunciation of this place, we have the Serrano Residence. This place can be found at 25 West, 1254 South. From above, it's a nice area. It's relatively big. There's not a lot nearby. There is Trader Bob over there, and Trader Jen, I think she's over there somewhere. Yeah. So you're quite close to traders, and the exterior is not that interesting, although it does look cool. There's not a lot of zombies up here. In fact, the first time I came here, I couldn't find any. I think it might depend on game stage and whatnot as to what you come across. But if you go downstairs, there is an enormous bunker. Right behind these barrels, you can see, I'll go into God mode because it's easier, there's an elevator. And down this elevator is a pretty impressive, what looks to be a medical research centre. There are quite a few enemies here. That said, it is only a 3-skull area or tier 3 location, so you can take it over pretty early. I'm not actually going to go inside this place because for those who haven't yet found it, it's best to explore it yourself for the first time. But it is interesting, and while I haven't done this yet, I'm pretty certain this could be a good place to have a horde base. It will need a bit of work because you'll need a nice path down to you. But I recommend coming and having a look. Just be warned, there will be a few of these running around, but depending on your level, it shouldn't be much of an issue. Up next, we've got Canyon Mine. This place can be found at 702 East, 1236 South. It's just a stone's throw away from good old Trader Bob. There he is. And it's quite a large underground area. Obviously, with it being called a mine, you expect it to be fairly big. It is impressive. If I go out of it like that, you can see just how many levels there are. Be careful, because it's quite an easy place to not only get overwhelmed by zombies, but it's also pretty easy to get lost in, especially if you're me. There are a few decent deposits that you can come down and mine, and as you can hear all that sound, there's also quite a few enemies. You can enter it from both above, and there are a couple of entrances down within the canyon. The easiest way is just to go in through the front, into this little building, and smash your way through the floor. At least that's how I do it, and works well for me. It's got a decent amount of loot, nothing too crazy, but it's a fun place to clear out. Sticking with mines, up next is Bear and Land Coal Mining. This can be found in the desert biome at 423 East, 2137 South. It's not as expensive as the previous entry, as you can see here, and it's also not as difficult to clear out. There's not as much going for it. I mean, it is kind of like a poor man's version of Canyon Mine. However, there are a few decent deposits that you can come across, primarily coal, with it being a coal mine, obviously. There's a little bit of loot, and as you can see, there's nowhere near the same number of enemies as were in the previous location. It's worth a visit. Not really a lot going for it. The whole town, to be honest, there's not really a lot. There is a little basement here, and I think there's one in another building. But like all the POIs, it's worth the adventure. The Crypts is the next location on the list. This place can be found at 27 west, 174 south. I'll show you on the map. It's not too far from Jen, it's also pretty close to Rect, and Bob isn't that far away either. So you are quite central. I mean, you're a little bit away from Joel, but you can't be too close to all of them, I guess. This is an ideal early location because, as you can see there, it's a tier 2. It's not that difficult to clear out, and it's relatively big. I'll show you from Outer Bounds first. It's a nice... there are gaps, there are holes, as there are with most POIs, but nothing that a few blocks can't fix up. There are 2 ways in. There's a manhole there, and then round the other side is the main entrance, which takes you in down this way. Now, going in through the manhole, although it will be locked and you'll have to break it, it is going to be easier. It's a cool place. It's definitely worth exploring. It does have some loot, nothing too crazy, but once it's cleared out, it is a bit creepy. But once it's cleared out, it makes for a nice little base. Maybe not a horde base since it's underground, but definitely a storage room, or even turn it into like a little bedroom / apartment. We're heading to the wasteland for the next entry. This place is Rotten Cavern. It can be found at 1486 west, 742 south. It's pretty easy to miss, unless you know what you're looking for. So newer players may not have ventured this far yet. It's surprisingly easy, considering it is in the wasteland. There are going to be a few enemies. It's a bit of a windy, spirally interior, as you can see. Branches off. I'm just going to move from that dog. It branches off into all areas. There's nothing crazy in terms of loot. It's still worth paying a visit. I keep saying that in this video, don't I? But it is. I have been here on most of my playthroughs, if not all of them, just because it's a fun place to clear out. You won't find all that much interesting stuff, and I definitely would advise against trying to turn it into a base, because you'll have creatures breaking in from all angles. There are a couple of ways in and out, as there are with most POIs. But yeah, for those who don't know, head to the wasteland to check it out. Ouch. This is the last of the core locations in this video. However, I do have a tip coming up, so hang on for that. Now, I am almost certain I'm going to butcher this, but this is the Don Vittorio Spagetto Residence. Please feel free to correct my horrendous pronunciation in the comment section below. This can be found at 2369 East, 1278 South, and from what I can see, it looks like sort of a drug kingpin lair. It's a nice property. It is pretty difficult to clear, so come well armed, but if I go out of bounds like I've done with all the others, it has like an underground spa luxury-esque area, I would describe this as. There's a bowling alley somewhere, there it is, and a few nice rooms to convert and have as whatever you please. But the most interesting part is down here. There's almost like a torture area, whatever you would want to call this, I don't know, or whether they're expanding. I'm sure somebody will let me know who's a bit more clued up on this, but it's pretty cool. I'm not sure how it would function as a base, because it is quite expansive, the underground bit, especially that little addition area. I don't know if you'd close that off, perhaps. But yeah, that's the last one I've got for this section. And now we'll get into the bonus tip. I'm going to finish off this video with something a little different. This isn't an underground location in the conventional sense. It's not really worth exploring, but it's about looting Cracker Book. This place is pretty good for getting all sorts of books and magazines, but it is tricky to clear. Instead of clearing it the normal way, you can't just smash your way through the front, but then you are still going to get a bunch of enemies. Go in next door. If I go underground, these buildings, while they don't connect with a door, they are connected by a wall. And as you can see, if I go down here into the basement area, there's only usually a couple of zombies. As you can see, this is a tier 2 location. I've smashed through the walls here, and if I go through here, I have access to the core loot room, and provided I don't go up and open that door or make my way further in, I can just steal this loot and leave. It's good for those who want to get a bit of a jump start in the sort of early to mid stages of the game. It's also good for those who are doing a mission where they're clearing out Crackerbook HQ and they want to grab the main loot area and clear that before starting the actual mission and respawning everything. It's just a bit of an easier way of going about doing it, so you don't have to take out endless hordes of angry green zombies. But with that said, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below if there are any other locations that you want me to go over. Alternatively, let me know if you have any video ideas that you'd like me to put into action. Thanks for watching.